So we're jumping into battery now of the intentional torts. And battery, to start, the purpose of it in society is to protect the bodily autonomy slash integrity of persons. And so, kind of thinking of like why, grounding it there, makes the justifications by courts, in my opinion, more clear. And the first case that we're going to jump into doesn't really state facts, but it gives us some instruction as to what counts as battery. And the first case we talk about is Cole versus Turner, not in North America, in England, I believe. It is. Okay. And the two kind of holdings it gave to us were, one is that offensive touch is battery. And that with anger and not necessarily intent to harm, but if you are making contact with somebody and you have kind of anger in your heart, in the given scenario, then it is battery. If you are in an alleyway and you don't have that intent or that anger in your head to make offensive contact, and you kind of swiftly kind of nudge somebody, it's not battery. That's something the case said. And then the last one is that if you make contact with somebody and there is harm done and you weren't necessarily intending to, but the reasonable person outside would look at it and say that that was an offensive touch by one person to another, that may also be battery. So moving to the next case to kind of showcase this reasonable person standard, this objective standard, is the case Wallace versus Rosen in 2002. And this one is instructive because it talks about offensive invasion of personal space and whether the reasonable person would uphold a situation as battery. And so the facts of this case were Wallace was a parent. She came into the school, I think, delivering or trying to get a homework assignment to her daughter in a school. And while she was in the school, she saw her daughter was talking to her, and then a fire drill went down, or a fire drill started to happen. And everybody started to crowd out. Wallace, at the time, the mom, she was recovering from foot surgery, so supposedly she had a boot or something in there. And teacher was going down, and this is where the testimonies become a little mixed, but she claims that he said, "Get out of my way," and kind of pushed her with a little bit more force. The teacher, Rosen, claims that he tapped her on the shoulder beforehand. He was like, "Get out gotta move it. It's a fire drill," or something to that effect. The results of all of it, though, more undisputed in that she fell down the stairs because she was at the top of the stairs when this happened. And remember, she was wearing a boot, and so most likely it exacerbated her injury. And so she sued for battery. Okay. And the question was, I think the teacher at the time subjectively did not mean to intend offensive harm to her. But nonetheless, a harm occurred. And the question became, is it battery, or are they liable when subjectively they didn't intend the harm? And the holding, the takeaway, kind of like this, is that, this case, it's not battery, because the reasonable person outside would look at that and say, not offensive to them. And so, long story short, big takeaway is that when you're looking at battery, use the objective standard. And so most of the time it feels a little bit more intuitive. So just keep that in mind. Reasonable person.